Hey guys, so as you know today you're going to be working in a group to write a character analysis essay. I know what you're thinking, Ms. McKay, this is dumb, why do we need to write? Well, you have to remember that in a lot of things that you do in your adult life, such as fill out job applications or apply to colleges, one of the first ways that people are introduced to you is through how you write. And so while you may not be asked to do a character analysis essay as an adult, you will be asked to write something at some point, no matter what job you have. And you want to make sure that you understand how to write and the basic steps that you need to take in order to write, just so that you come across on paper sounding really intelligent and like you know what you're talking about. So one of the first things you're going to do when getting ready to start your character analysis essay is you're going to work on a pre-writing activity. I know. Why are we doing pre-writing, Miss McKay? What's the point? I mean, after all, can't I just start writing my essay and be good to go? Well, the short answer is yeah, you could. A little bit longer of an answer is, but it's not going to be as good as it could be. You see, think of pre-writing kind of like a blueprint. You can't just go out there and start building a house without some kind of a plan set in place for how you're going to do it and the order you're going to do it in. The reason we do pre-writing is because it allows us to gather our thoughts. How many times have you started a paper and you just thought, where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I get this off the ground? Pre-writing is the best way to get your paper going before you just dive in headfirst to the essay itself. So for this particular essay, you've got this pre-writing activity that I have shared with each of you in Google Classroom. It's very simple. Depending on what part of the essay you have agreed to take over as your team member, will determine what part of this analysis pre-writing section you'll take care of. So if you're going to do the introduction, it's very self-explanatory. You're going to type out the title of the novel and who the author is. You're then going to give a brief summary of the novel. Now, remember, a summary is like a movie trailer. You want to give a little bit of the main stuff away to get people interested, but you don't want to give away too much so that when they read the book, they really already know what's going to happen and they don't need to get that into it. Finally, you're going to have a thesis statement. This thesis statement is essentially your claim. What are you stating about this particular character in the novel? If you go back to your analysis essay handout, it says for your thesis statement, you're going to state what your character's traits are and how or why they affect the story, themes, or other characters in the novel. So basically what you're saying in your thesis statement is that you believe the character your group picked is a certain way, and then you're going to explain briefly in one sentence how they affect the rest of the story. For those of you who have taken on the task of writing one of the body paragraphs, you're basically going to set up the skeleton or the bare bones of your paragraph. You're going to pick the trait that they have in a particular section of the novel. So if you're working on the first section, you're looking at how the character is revealed at the beginning of the novel. So what is one word you can use to describe that character at the beginning of the novel? If you're working on the second section, you're looking at how the character changes throughout the course of the novel. So what is one way you can describe that character as they change? We've seen how they start. What do they start to change into as the novel carries on? And then in that third section, you're going to describe the character at the end of the novel. Do they stay the same as they did once they changed in the middle of the novel? Do they revert back to how they were at the beginning of the novel? Or do they change yet again and have a completely different third trait that you're going to use to describe your character? From there, you're going to find two examples in the text that demonstrate your character has that particular trait you have picked out for your section. These do not have to be written word for word from the text. It can just be a brief paraphrase or summary, but you do want to go ahead and write down the page number because you may need that when you're writing your formal paper. And then finally, you've got this quote down here. You want to find a direct quote that really shows that that character exhibits that particular trait that you have picked. So if the author comes right out and says it, you can pick that. If another character says it, you can pick what they've said. It doesn't even have to be a part of the dialogue. It could be conveyed through an action, or it can be conveyed through a thought or whatever. But it needs to be something you're quoting directly from the text. And again, you need to include the page number with it. And then finally, you've got your conclusion. This is going to be the same person who worked on the introduction up here. You're not having to do a lot with going through the book and finding these examples and quotes. So after you've done your summary and the title of the author, the biggest thing you really have is the thesis statement. After you've done that, you've got some time to work on the conclusion. You're really thinking about what have you learned through this character. If you were to be that character in real life, what do you think living this novel would have taught you? And then you can also include things about how you feel about them, or how you feel about what they've been through. Some of these characters, it's really easy to pity them and feel for them, whereas other characters, you really have no sympathy for them whatsoever. So depending on the character that you choose, it's really going to determine what you learn through that character and how you feel about them, what they've been through in the end. So you really want to take some time and work on your pre-writing activity, because the more time you spend with it, the more information you put into it, the easier it's going to be to get started and really write your paper. Take some time with it. Do really well. I know you can be fantastic. And discuss with your group mates if you need any help or have any questions. All right. Have a good one.